The life and sad ending of Keith Urban. Keith Urban was born Keith Lionel Urban on the 26th of October, 1967. Although born in New Zealand and raised in nearby Australia, Keith Urban obviously made his biggest splash in Nashville when he helped rewrite the rules of contemporary country music. Keith Urban began learning guitar as a 6-year-old. His father, the owner of a local convenience store, agreed to hang a guitar teacher's flyer in his shop window in exchange for free lessons. The lessons went to his son, who demonstrated natural talent on the instrument and won several talent competitions while still in elementary school. Urban grew comfortable on stage, and he worked on his singing and acting abilities as a member of the Westfield Super Juniors, a local theater company. Meanwhile, he took a cue from his father by gravitating toward the work of Glen Campbell, Dolly Parton, Don Williams, and Jimmy Webb, all of whom inspired his early attempts at songwriting. Urban added his own dimension to those influences when he discovered Dire Straits and became interested in the firework of Mark Knopfler, which led to an in-depth study of Knopfler's technique. Australian country music was primed for a revolution at the start of the 90s, and Urban, young, brash, and blonde, with a guitar style that owed heavily to rock and roll, was part of that transformation. After singing with the Australian branch of EMI Records, he issued his first album and scored several #1 hits in his home country. Even so, Urban's sights remained set on Nashville, Tennessee, which he considered to be the birthplace of the music he loved. Having already taken trips to Nashville to forge career bridges, he soon decided to base himself in the city. His Australian bandmate, drummer Peter Clark, also came along, and the two formed The Ranch during their first few months in America. Although their original bass player returned to Australia, West Virginian Jerry Flowers quickly stepped in. The group's debut album, The Ranch, was released to moderate acclaim in 1997, but Urban was forced to take a break when he developed throat problems, and The Ranch disbanded soon after. While Urban remained on vocal rest, other artists called upon him to play guitar on their records. Garth Brooks asked Urban to perform on Double Live. The Dixie Chicks invited him to play on their second album, and Matt Rollings, one of Nashville's top producers, hired Urban as a session player for his own album. The two quickly clicked. Impressed with Rollings' knowledge of Nashville's session players, Urban asked him to produce his next solo record. Released in 1999, the self-titled Keith Urban spawned 4 hit singles and paved the way for his successful career in America. Urban found more success with 2002's Golden Road, which sent 3 singles to the top of the country charts and went triple platinum in the US, as well as 2004's Be Here, which bested the feats of its predecessor by selling over 4 million copies. Keith Urban was now a contemporary country superstar, replete with Grammy nominations and paparazzi attention, and his label capitalized on that attention by reissuing The Ranch's debut album later that year. An anthology of Urban's work, Days Go By, followed in 2005. The next year, Urban continued to attract media attention with his highly publicized engagement to fellow Australian Nicole Kidman, plus his voluntary entry into a rehabilitation center for alcohol abuse. He postponed all his upcoming promotional appearances while in treatment, although the album Love, Pain, and the Whole Crazy Thing was released in November as scheduled. It failed to produce a #1 hit, but Love, Pain, and the Whole Crazy Thing still went double platinum in America, aided in part by a successful tour with Carrie Underwood. Nearly 3 years had passed between the release of Love, Pain, and the Whole Crazy Thing and Defying Gravity. Urban worked quickly on his next album, releasing Get Closer during the final months of 2010 and returning to the charts with its lead single, Put You in a Song. That year, he and Kidman had a second child, another daughter, via surrogate. In 2011, Urban returned to Australia to appear as a judge on the first season of that country's version of The Voice, though he did not return for a second, instead of returning to Nashville. In addition to commencing work on his 8th album, Urban was invited to become a member of the Grand Ole Opry by Vince Gill in April 2012. He accepted and was inducted later that month. In September, he joined American Idol as a judge. Urban continued to work on his album despite all of this activity, Inspired to create something new, he worked with producer Nathan Chapman to add subtle funk and hip-hop elements to his country pop sound. The resultant album, Fuse, was released in September 2013. Fuse spawned 5 top 10 Billboard country singles: the pre-release Shame, the Miranda Lambert debut We Were Us, Cop Car, Somewhere in My Car, and Eric Church duet Raise 'Em Up. These singles charted into 2015, which is when John Cougar, John Deere, John 316, the first taste of his 9th album, appeared in the summer. John Cougar, John Deere, John 316 peaked at number 2 on Billboard's country sales and airplay charts, and 2 other singles, Break on Me and Wasted Time, followed before the full-length Ripcord appeared in May 2016. Topping the country charts, Ripcord also yielded Grammy-nominated hit single Blue Ain't Your Color. Urban returned in November 2017 with the empowering single Female, inspired by the Me Too movement. Female was the first taste from Graffiti You, an electronic-inflected album arriving in April 2018. Subsequent single and country radio hit Coming Home with Julia Michaels also pushed Urban toward the top 10 on the U.S. singles chart. Just a year after the release of Graffiti You, Urban launched his next era with the singles Burden and the Eric Church-penned We Were. The latter appeared on The Speed of Now, Part 1, the album Urban released in September 2020. It's no secret that both Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban have been through the ringer over the years. For one, the actress had a particularly nasty public split from her ex-husband, the uber-famous movie star Tom Cruise. Although there has been a lot of talk surrounding their divorce, especially in regards to his involvement in Scientology, Kidman has remained relatively mum on the painful time. Just the same, the two fought a nasty custody battle which resulted in the reported loss of a relationship between Nicole and her adopted daughter, Bella. On Keith's end, the country crooner dealt with a very public addiction battle. Just 4 short months after the wedding, Nicole, in a Sydney ceremony, the singer checked into the Betty Ford Center for Drug and Alcohol Abuse, crediting his new wife for getting him through his darkest hour. Thank you for watching our video.